All right. So this is what the guitar came to me looking like. Uh, I saw it and thought to myself, well, wouldn't this be kind of crazy if I can fix it? So I did my best. I tried to fix it, and there you can see the truss rod just kind of hanging out of the guitar there. And I mean, there's electronics inside the guitar as well. It was pretty bad shape. So yeah, that's what that looked like. There's a picture I took the day I got it. So let's start out. The first thing I got to put the neck back on. If you're wondering what happened to this guitar, well, it was let's just say it was manhandled, and the person who had it was not very happy with it, so they wrecked it. I would not recommend smashing a guitar. It's not something I'm going to make a career out of fixing guitars like this, especially not for people who wreck them. So if you wrecked a guitar and you want me to fix it, no, probably not going to do it. This was just kind of a game I was doing with myself. The person had agreed that if it wasn't functional, I would just, give it back to them non-functional, and they'd use it as art. So that's kind of my go-to in there. So we got the neck put back on. The braces I'm using are not like luthier or wood braces, but they're on there, and that's what it is. So I did my best to keep the neck as straight and as deep on there as I could. And we'll see. There's some pictures of it with the neck on there after the vices were taken off, and it was fairly straight. So I was pretty happy with it. And well, let's go to the next step. All right, these cross beams, a lot of them were broken, so I had to go through and re-glue them and clamp them together to get them to sit back together. So I did a bunch of re-gluing of the cross beams. You can see another broken one on the right side. But yeah, I re-glued all those bad boys. And then the fretboard, the problem with the fretboard, the fretboard was broken on this guitar. So I had to find a way to take this fretboard and reseat it back on the guitar. And it wasn't going to be a perfect fit. That was the issue. I'm pointing it out there. You can see that the way it sits, it's a little high. And I was going to have to take some of the gunk off the back of the fretboard that I was going to reattach. So I ended up having to pull the fretboard up, and I think I pull it up here and show you. There you go. There's some gunk on it. So I'm going to take some of this gunk off of the guitar fretboard here, and we're just going to fast mow through the rest of this. But yeah, so I had to take some of this off to make it fit a little bit better, and once I took a lot of that off and shaved a lot of those glued spots off, it would once again fit on the guitar pretty well. So I was fairly happy with how that worked out. And as far as I'm concerned, I think it worked out pretty good. And let's see if we can fast mow through this, and we'll set it up there. And there we go. So we set it up, and well, it looked pretty good. It was pretty flat for the most part. It seated itself in there a lot better than before. It's still slightly off center, as you can see. But you know what? I was just going to pray and hope that it was going to be close enough. The person who I'm giving the guitar to doesn't go that far up the neck anyways, and this guitar doesn't have a cutaway. So I figured it wouldn't be that big of a deal if the guitar was, off just a tiny bit on those frets. So now what I'm trying to do is I thought that the guitar fretboard where it was broken fit together too well. So I'm going to try and take some chunks out of it here, and that way when I put it back on there, it looks a little bit, off to the side, or a little something like, maybe not as brand new as it would. I'm trying to keep some of that relic look, but there's a picture of what I ended up with. I gnarled it up pretty good, and we're going to seat that baby back on there. One of the parts I was most nervous about, the electronics. I'm kind of speeding through this one too, but I removed the two pots that were left. There was still another one in there, but I kind of show it to you in fast mo here, but the pots were all broken. They're all broken, and I didn't have the correct size of pots, but we made something work. You know what? I take that back about the electronics. This was definitely the most nerve-wracking part of the guitar. How am I going to get a bridge to sit back on the guitar and stay in there? And luckily enough, there was enough cross beams in there and some of the original bracing that I could actually adhere it back to the, as close to the original spot as I could. And the fun part about this is, once again, if it didn't work that well, it was no skin off of my chin as far as I'm concerned. It was just kind of a let's see what happens here. Let's glue this baby back in there. Let's get it in there nice and tight and see what happens. And I did end up getting the bridge on there pretty straight. I measured it all out, and it was fairly straight and almost exactly where it needed to be. So one thing I did do, though, was I was a little nervous about all the downward pressure on the bridge. So I did make another support beam for it. And the other support beam that I had created for it, I mean, it's not like anything super special. It's just an extra support beam. So I went about gluing that baby in there. I was assuming that when this guitar was done, the resonance was going to be pretty bad on it anyways. So I figured, why not just glue another support beam in there? It's not, a perfect one. But the hanging string saddle, there's this next step. I'm not 100% sure that bridge would support all the downward pressure that would require if you put strings in there and wrapped them around it. So I decided to go with the string saddle on the back end. And I put it on there, and I figured, why not try and string it up and see how it works. So can it hold? Darn tootin' it did. The support beams and everything worked great. Well, what's it sound like? Not too shabby. So that was just the acoustic sound. I did fix the electronics on it, and if you saw what I had to go through to fix some of the electronics on here, I was debating making a video all on its own about fixing these electronics, but I'll tell you what, I skipped it. This is probably even one of the longest fast mo versions of this. Electronics are probably some of the things I'm most comfortable fixing on a guitar. I've got no problem divulging my mods and secrets that I do. But this one was a little bit odd. It was a pickup attached to an active preamp, and I put some knobs on there that worked, and everything does work, and it functions perfectly. There's a volume knob, a bass response knob, as well as a treble response knob. So I put those back in there. The original spot where the knobs went was pretty wrecked. It was no longer where, one of the holes wasn't even existent anymore. So I thought to myself, let's stash these in a different spot. So I measured it out, and I stuck them up in the front corner of the guitar. I figured it would look kind of neat hanging out up there. I put one of the original knobs back on, and then threw a couple of other knobs in there. But here's the picture of what that looks like up in the front corner. I thought it looked pretty nice. So next was trying to fix that giant hole in the back of the guitar. Behind the bridge, there's the hole. It is huge. I got a license plate from somebody and cut it up and adhered it to there, so it fits out very well. I just used silicone. I wasn't sure if I was going to have to remove this again or not, or exactly what was going on. Like I said, this was all just kind of guessing and testing as I went. It was just as much art project as anything else. But now we're going to cover up the rest of the hole with, we're going to do it with a washboard. How cool is that? So I take this washboard that I had picked up from a guy, and got some tin snips and snipped that baby out, and it was pretty fun, getting this thing to fit. I'm not like a, brilliant person when it comes to these hands-on tin snipping. I don't work any sort of construction, and I'm not much of like a luthier of any sort. I haven't taken on any big projects like this. Most of what I do is refinishing guitars, and even that I would say take it to a pro. I'm not one to sit there. I'll divulge all the secrets I have, but I don't have very many. So that's kind of how I sit on that one. But here we go. We got this baby all cut out, and we set it in there. And I was actually proposed with the idea when I was talking about putting a washboard in there to cover the hole, with trying to make the washboard electronic. So one thing I did actually do was I didn't record any of it, but I put a piezo in behind the washboard and muted it just a tiny bit so it wouldn't pick up too much of the strings. So there's the washboard on the guitar. There is a piezo hanging out behind it. So there's a pickup behind it. So when you play the washboard, it will make noise. But you're going to have to plug it in. So what I did was I drilled a new hole and a new input jack. This way you could play with it or not play with it or whatever. But there we go. There's the guitar. It's all completed. It went from this, the sad state it was in. It was just super rough, broken electronics, neck, bracings, everything. And now we have this one-of-a-kind Frankenstein extreme guitar repair. It's definitely one of a kind. There will not be another one of these out there anywhere, and I don't know if I'm going to take on a task like this before. This took me a few sleepless nights and a little over a month to finish, but here you go, guys. Here's the transformation. That's it, guys. Well, I hope you like the video. If you do like the video, go ahead and hit subscribe. I've done some more guitar mod videos. I've done hydro dip videos. They're all on the channel, all right there on the Audible Farm channel. So check it out, guys. Hit subscribe if you like what you see. Appreciate it. We'll check you guys next time.